recognized.
I want to thank the gentleman from Virginia, the vice-ranking member of the Oversight Committee, for yielding time and for doing such a phenomenal job on our committee. I rise in strong opposition to H.R. 50, the Unfunded Mandates Information and Transparency Act. This legislation would obstruct the regulatory process with new requirements that would make it more difficult to promulgate regulations that protect the health and safety of Americans. This bill also would give regulated companies the ability to weigh in on rules before other stakeholders, and that is simply not right. Under this bill, gun manufacturers could influence a gun safety rule before children safety experts. Under this bill, banks could shape rules related to obtaining lines of credit before consumer advocates. Under this bill, a coal company could weigh in on clean air rule before doctors, scientists, and other public health experts. This is a gross distortion of how this process should work, and it would put the interests of polluters and other corporate offenders ahead of the American people. And I simply say we're better than that. This bill also must be viewed in the context of the broader assault on regulations underway by President Trump and his allies in Congress. Using the Congressional Review Act, Republicans in Congress have repealed 16 health, safety, environmental, and consumer protection rules. They repealed a rule that prevented individuals with severe mental illness from gaining access to guns. Give me a break. They repealed the stream protection rule, which required monitoring of streams and of groundwater for toxic contaminants dumped by coal mining companies. Yeah, they did that too. They repealed the Fair Pay Act and Safe Workplaces rule, which requires that American taxpayers only be spent on companies, tax dollars only be spent on companies that comply with the workplace health, safety, and civil rights laws that all private businesses must abide by. The bill before us today is yet another attack on regulations, one that Republicans have passed many times before, but have never been able to enact. This bill would amend the Unfunded Mandates Reform Act, which was enacted as part of Newt Gingrich's contract with America. Even in the context of the extreme agenda of the contract with America, Congress included several limitations in the Unfunded Mandates Reform Act. This bill would repeal those limitations. This bill also would put independent agencies in jeopardy of political interference. The Unfunded Mandates Reform Act currently exempts independent agencies from its reporting requirements. This bill would remove that exemption. That means independent regulatory agencies like the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Consumer Protection Safety Commission would have to submit their rules to the Office of Management and Budget for review, which could undermine their independence. Section 12 of the bill would require an agency to perform a retrospective review, including an additional cost-benefit analysis of any existing rule if requested by the chairman or ranking member of a committee. The Congressional Research Service found that there is a tenable argument that Section 12 is unconstitutional CRS said, and I quote, "It could be argued that imbuing certain members with the authority to demand that an agency prepare a report under Section 12 is an action of sufficient legislative character and effect as to trigger the bicameralism and the presentment requirements of Article 1. These flaws are reason enough to oppose this bill, but the most important reason is that we rely on agency rulemakings to protect our children, protect our workers, and protect our economy. The Coalition for Sensible Safeguards, a group of more than 160 good government, labor, scientific, faith, health, and community organizations, sent a letter to Congress strongly opposing this bill. Here is just a portion of what the letter said, and I quote, "The cost of deregulation should be obvious by now. The Wall Street economic collapse, various food and product safety recalls, and numerous environmental disasters demonstrate the need for a regulatory system that protects the public, not corporate interests." I urge my colleagues to oppose this bill, and with that, I yield back.
Gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr.